I remember it very clearly. It was one January afternoon when I was driving from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, in the middle of a blizzard to Milwaukee, an hour south. Now, fools like me were on the freeway. We couldn't see, but we were diligent and we were going to make it to our destination. So there I was among the other drivers, hastily going down the freeway at 25 miles an hour. And I was for it all the way. And you know what that's like if you've ever been in a blizzard and the snow is pelting and it's coming and you can see about 3 feet in front of you, and yet you are making progress. I mean, you are making progress. So there I was, because I had clients to see and they didn't have the blizzard that we were having, so I was determined. Well, everything was going along fine, you might say at a steady clip, until our cars on the road almost came to a halt, and we ended up moving at a crawl because the snow was so intense that we really could not see anything. And my heart almost stopped in fear, but not because of the snow. Because I had seen in my peripheral vision dark spots coming toward me. And as I looked, I saw 3 wolves racing toward my car. One went around my car and came to my driver's side, and these 2 were on the passenger side, and they were running along the car as I was driving, and I didn't know what was going to happen. One face came real close to mine, and I'm like, I'm going to keep driving. And we kept going, and after about a minute of this, they ran off. It wasn't until a few months later when I decided to look up the totems of my tradition, my Ojibwa tradition, from which my biological father was raised. And I saw that wolves represent perseverance and guardianship. And I knew that they were there, giving me their medicine. They were giving me their power of perseverance and steadiness to stay the course. And they were guarding me. They were guarding me along the way. And I learned later that night that many, many cars on that freeway went off in ditches and had pileups and all kinds of things. But I made it. Now, I tell you this story because it's part of the Native tradition from which my heritage comes. And I want to answer a question first. No, I was not on drugs. I really did see the wolves. I really was not. This really happened. I could take a polygraph. I would swear to you this happened. And you know, if you are at all familiar with the native path, the red road, the red path, you'll know that we are open, all human beings, to mystical experiences that are surreal and real in our time and in our way in spirit. I always wonder, did those wolves really come? And I realize it doesn't matter. And so I'm going to leave you in that mystery, and I'm just going to say, heck yeah, they were there. Of course they were there. And I share with you because I would imagine that there are a number of you that have had experiences just like this in your own way, where animals, where people, where those that have gone have come and blessed you as an individual from Spirit as a gift. Now, this is a belief that Native Americans have in many, many, many of their tribes and in many of their customs and cultures. And today we are beginning our series called We Are One, and I want to share with you the Native Path in some certain ways. So you might remember that back in March we had a peace rally. It was a phenomenal experience. Do you remember the We Are One peace rally? And we had people from different traditions coming and praying with us and sharing their stories. We had amazing music. It was a phenomenal event. And so I take from that and I say, let's, at this time and at this stage in our country and in the world, let's celebrate the diversity of different paths. Let's bring, by our focus and by our celebration, let's bring more harmony into the world. Let's bring more awareness into the world. Let's bring more love and acceptance and celebration of all paths and all traditions into the world. So let's go ahead, and I want to start with the Native Path, and I'm going to start by saying that I'm just sharing you from my tradition because I want you to be mindful that in America, the Bureau of Indian Affairs acknowledges that there are 567 tribes. So tribes and clans, and so you have to realize that all of them do not express as Native American in one way, right? Just like in your own tradition, whatever your culture is, not everybody looks exactly the same, right? Not everyone has the same exact thought and celebrates exactly the same. Well, so it is for those that walk the red road or the red path. And knowing that there will be some differences and similarities because there is enough culturally in belief system and in values that bring together a generalized belief about harmony and love for all, about respect and honor for all living things, all our relatives, all that is breathing and living, created by the Creator. And so today I'm going to share with you two particular gifts in the Ojibwa way. And the first one is the medicine wheel. I want to talk to you about the medicine wheel. This is it right here. And if you notice it, first of all, well, let me say this. The medicine wheel, let me define those terms. Medicine in a Native tradition does not just mean taking ibuprofen, right? That's not what it means. It doesn't just mean taking a remedy for something, although medicine is a remedy. But in the Native tradition, medicine means presence. It means power. It means that spiritual essence that you bring. And so if somebody really blesses you by their gift of prayer, their gift of wisdom, their gift of knowledge, you'd say, good medicine. They bring me good medicine in that way. So medicine has a very profound meaning. And if you go to an experience that inspires and changes you, that shifts you, that heals you, that in itself is good medicine. So that's what medicine means. And wheel, we call it wheel because as you can see, the wheel is circular with no beginning and no end. And so it symbolizes the path of all life, of all creation that is endless. It's also the cycle of life as well as the cycle of your life. And when you walk the medicine wheel, when you walk the outer edge of that wheel, you are walking your life, and you are also walking life itself. And so in the Native tradition, we always start with the east. And well, let me back up for a minute. There are 4 colors, and traditionally speaking, the 4 colors are about for the four people of the world. They didn't do brown back in ancient times, but they're the whites, the Asians, the Indian, and black people. And so they're the colors of people, but it's a traditional demonstration of all people, so to speak. And typically, when you look at a medicine wheel, you start from the east. And the east is always the beginning, right? Sunrise. And so the east symbolizes infancy. It symbolizes that childhood, that opening. It also symbolizes new beginnings in life. And so we open to that wonderful new beginning. And so the element is fire. That's the start, the burst of creation. And so we begin there and we walk the edge of the medicine wheel. I guess that would be over here for you all. And then you go south. And when you move south, that is the youth of your life. And it also is, if you are working with an idea or an experience, it's the youth of that time. And in this time, we are talking about summer. So this is summer. This is the fullness of summer, the vibrancy of the aliveness. It is the physical time of life. It is the time when we celebrate the sweetness and the purity and the goodness of all that is. And that's in the south. And the element is water. It's light. It's free. It's cleansing also, and it's opening. And as we continue to walk, we move to the west. And as we know, the west in a day, that is the closing of the day. That is the sunset. It is the time when we are adults. This is the time when we are earth and we are walking on the earth. We are grounded in who we are. We are grounded in what our identity is and who we've become. We are grounded in our purpose and in what matters to us when we are in the west area of our lives. And so this is the adulthood. This is that time when we are creating stability and purpose and all of those things. So we are in this stage for a long time, but then we move up and we are in winter, or we are in the north, and the element is air. The time of life is maturity. This is the time of wisdom, of knowing things. This is the time of reflection. This is the time when you become the one with knowledge, the sage, so to speak, in so many ways. And so it is a time of deep, deep understanding. And so all of us, when we walk the medicine wheel, when we walk that wheel, we take the gifts of each aspect of where we are, what stage of life we are in. We take the gifts of each quality of every element to really honor that element. And we also take the gifts of wisdom and knowing that come from walking this earth in that way. So I have a suggestion for you. Imagine yourself in a situation or in a time in your life that requires new thought. So put yourself in the east, where you are beginning and you are opening up to a new possibility. Can you, in this way, allow the passion and the aliveness of fire to fill you? Can you be open and in the knowing that all things can be possible and good? And so just feel that energy of openness, of aliveness. Do you have it? So just feel that. And now imagine that you take whatever that is about for you and you allow it to start having life. You allow it to start having form. You start creating with it. You start playing with it. You start living with it. Now, if it's a difficult thing, this is also the time when you're kind of jumping around and a little fretting and a little worrying is going on, but you're very alive in that possibility or in that change. And so you're moving in it. And water also symbolizes flowing. You're flowing with it and you're moving in it. But there comes a point when you also need to move into a maturing of ideas. You need to move into a deepened understanding. You need to move in an acceptance of what is and of what isn't. And as you move to the west, this is the time when you start noticing patterns and changes, and you start having some realizations about what is happening. You start having an understanding. Do you see what I mean? And so you're moving in this time, and you're coming to a maturing of that which you have held in your heart, or that which you have lived through. There's some acceptance going on there. There's some understanding happening. And then you continue to move, and you walk the wheel, and you move to the age of maturity, or as we would say, the wisdom, the old age. And this is where you will move with that very same experience into knowledge. This is where you move into knowing. This is where you move into a full understanding from a spiritual knowing of what is. And you will see in this way that all that you experienced, that all you can learn has been good. So this stage, the north, the age, the old age, the wisdom center, is where we arrive in our experiences, in our life cycle, in all that we do. And our challenge as human beings, or as two-leggeds, you might say, is to keep walking. Keep walking that cycle in your life. Keep walking that cycle with everything you experience. Now, sometimes, if we're honest, we'll recognize that we see people that don't keep walking, right? Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen a 60-year-old teenager? And I really mean they've never grown up. We've seen those people. None of us, of course, but we've seen those people. Or we've seen people that also don't move into wisdom and great understanding. They refuse to accept what has happened. They refuse to understand, and they fight and they fight and they push and they create conflict because they will not move to a higher knowledge, a higher wisdom, a higher understanding. They're still stuck in it's going to be my way. Again, nobody here, but we know what that's like. And so the gift of the medicine wheel is to see the life cycles, but to also see ourselves in our lives walking and continuing to walk the medicine wheel. Release the place you have been when you have received the fullness and the expression of those gifts, and move to the next step, the next. And as you open yourself to new ways of being, what happens is that there are new gifts There are new opportunities of knowing and living in harmony that are waiting for you. And they are things that only you can know because of who and what you are and where you have been in your life. No one can be your excitement and joy in creation. No one can be your joy and your aliveness. No one can accept the changes and live your purpose. And no one can give you your wisdom, your true knowledge. This is the gift of understanding the medicine wheel. So I encourage you to apply it in your life. And as you do, I also want to share with you one other really wonderful ceremony today. I want to share with you a smudging ceremony. And how many of you have been smudged before in a Native tradition? So probably half of you. So you, and when you've been smudged, there is a stick like this that is used, and there are 4 components in a smudge stick, traditionally speaking. And they also represent the 4 areas of the medicine wheel. And so one of the first elements in a traditional smudge stick is tobacco. And tobacco by Native tradition comes from the East, and it's the beginning of life, and it's how we send a prayer to the Creator. It is the blessing of tobacco that is used always in a sacred way to bless and to connect fully from this earth with Spirit. And so there's always tobacco, and that's the beginning. And then another element in a smudge stick has to do with the South, with the liveliness and the nurturance, and that is sweetgrass. So there's always a little bit of sweetgrass, and that is to bring forward good thoughts, sweet thoughts, kind and nurturing thoughts into your awareness. The third element is sage. And that comes from our adulthood, and that comes from when we start to mature in our purpose, when we're starting to open to the wisdom of who we are and our true purpose. And so there's sage that is given in a traditional stick. And that is to clear our minds for clarity, for knowledge, and to begin to truly live in truth. And that is what sage is for. And then the last traditional element is cedar. And with cedar, it comes from the north. It comes from maturity and old age. And if you think about cedar, it is the evergreen of the north. It is what shields over. It's what protects in the winter, in those times when we close down, in those times that are cold. It shields over. And so there's always cedar as protection. And so all of these elements are present in a traditional smudge stick. And when you are smudged, what happens is the smoke is something you waft toward yourself, and you take it in and you allow it to bring its healing and its blessing to your being, to your body, and then through you. And so when you come up today and you get smudged, allow that presence to move through you, and you can even use your hand along with the person smudging you and just take in the smells and allow it to be a true blessing, a true gift to you. So today we're going to go ahead and have a smudging, and so I'm going to ask Bobby and Stephanie to come forward. And we're going to light the smudge sticks. And you'll notice that there are many times when people use smudge sticks when they're cleaning a home or a space. And the intention is to clean and purify the space, to bring new energies, new life, and to clean out whatever is no longer wanted or needed. So we're going to allow the scent of the smudge stick to begin to fill our space a little bit. Can you smell it? Yeah. So we're going to open with that. And I'd like to share with you a blessing. So today, when we smudge our head. And when we smudge the head, we cleanse our minds. We release old thoughts that do not serve. And we open to new thoughts that bring greater clarity and greater wisdom. And we smudge our eyes so that we might see clearly and always see the good that is around us always. We smudge our nose, and we know that with our nose we become more aware of who and what is around us. We smudge our ears so that we might hear the truth, that we might hear and discern that which is ours to know. We smudge our mouths so that our words are words of kindness, are words of love, are words of peace. And then we smudge our hands so that all that we touch is touched gently and with love. And so that all that we receive blesses and nurtures us. We smudge our entire body, our hearts and our being, knowing that they are vessels to serve the Creator and to be used only for good. That our bodies are meant to be used in service to the Creator, to one another, to the community. And we smudge, lastly, our feet so that we walk forward lightly on the earth, always blessing our sacred home in a good way. And then we turn around and we bless our backs, knowing that as we bless them, our burdens are lifted and they no longer carry us or hold us back or down. And so with this understanding, we now come forward, and I would ask you to form 2 lines, and we will begin our smudging. And the ushers can open the doors, please, so it doesn't get you. From the Ojibwa tradition. This is a song of well-being. It is a song of harmony and love. It is a song to know the Creator as the truth in a humble and loving way. Hey, oh, way, oh, way, hey, oh. Dibiki jisoni. Ishko taimi min mawa. Ngawama. Oh, ngawama. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh. Tibiki jisoni.
We working? Yes. Oh, I don't know about you, but that felt good. I got to smudge a lot of people. That was amazing for me. So thank you for sharing in that experience. And now I'd like to share with you something else that came along. And I asked Myra, actually went to her and said, can I do the prosperity moment this week? Because I have found in my life that I was living in a lack consciousness for many, many years, always worried about where the next thing was going to come, and worried about items and vehicles and houses and all the things that were in my life. And what changed me was when I started giving instead of getting. And that's when the shift happened to me. When I made the decision to come to Unity Village to be a minister, I was making six-figure income. I had fancy cars and fancy houses, and everything was so great. But it really wasn't. I was always fearing the almighty dollar. And then a shift came about when I got here and realized that I could let go of that and realize that my life was prosperous, that everything in my life was a prosperity moment. And how grateful I am now, because not only has my life shifted and I'm focusing on the abundance that's available to me every single day, but I was just reminded of that 2 weeks ago when this church blessed me so greatly with a scholarship grant for my schooling. You see, what I see here, unlike the church I was in before, and not that it wasn't a great church, but this church is prosperity in action. It is true. Yes, please give a round of applause. And it's so noticeable. So thank you all for blessing me with your abundance.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you so much. Bobby, thank you for sharing that with us. Beautiful. Thank you, because it is so true. We are that love in action every day. And in honor of the beautiful service that we had, a little bit of medicine that I'd like to share with you. A prayer from the Native American tradition from an author called A. Yoko. Great Spirit, inspire me as long as I live to share my abundance, to give away to others and not be greedy. Inspire me to be aware of the sick and suffering, the homeless, the unfortunate. Give me the strength not to whine or complain, to give generosity of all that you've given me so freely. Take your love offering in your hands today and affirm with me our love offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am joy-filled and grateful. So it is. Amen.
Nodesa, Ajia, hey, Santawi Kaiser, Santawi Kaiser, Santawi Kaiser, Ajia, hey, Salam, Kahe, Salam, Kahe, Salam, Kahe, Ajia, hey, Salam, Kahe, Salam, Kahe, Salam, Kahe, Ajia, hey. Hela, wela, 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 hey ya ho. Hela, wela, 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 hey ya ho. no des, no des, no des, Gia, hey, Santawi Kaiser, Santawi Kaiser, Santawi Kaiser, Gia, hey, Salam, hey, Salam, hey, Salam, hey, Gia, hey, Salam, hey, Salam, hey, Salam, hey, Gia, hey, hey, la, willa, 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 hey, ho, hey, la, willa, 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 hey, ho.